Okay, so we have our wireless access point and our clients all positioned optimally, meaning the walls and physical barriers are creating as little interference as possible. And we're happy with that for the most part. Still, there's a potential for other things to interfere with our wireless signal. And what are those things? Okay, those things are other consumer electronic devices which also use the 2.4 gigahertz frequency range as our wireless router. Remember, if you're using a wireless B or a wireless G router, you are on the 2.4 gigahertz band, which means you're using the same frequency as cordless phones, baby monitors, microwave ovens, garage door openers, home security systems, etc., etc. If your access point or your client is within 10 feet of any of these things, they can cause interference. You want to maintain a distance of at least 6 feet between these items and your wireless devices. Now, Bluetooth devices such as PDAs, mice, wireless keyboards, etc., they can also cause interference with your wireless signal. Another thing that can cause problems, let's say you live in an apartment and you have a wireless router and you have a neighbor upstairs from you and you have a neighbor downstairs from you and you have a neighbor right next door to you, and they're all using wireless routers just like you are. Well, that can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing. If you're all on the same channel, it can be a bad thing. Most wireless G routers ship set to channel 6 by default. So if your neighbors are all set to channel 6 and you're set to channel 6, there's a good chance you're all going to start interfering with each other. So a simple way to deal with this is simply to shift your router to a different channel. Now, each G router has a range of 11 different channels. The tricky part is each of these channels is actually 22 megahertz wide, so they will overlap their adjacent channels. The only way to get a non-overlapping channel is to set your wireless router to either channel 1, channel 6, or channel 11. So if your neighbor is using channel 6, simply switch your router over to channel 1 or channel 11. And you'll be able to tell what channel they're using with the utilities that come with most wireless adapters. Okay, so we've got obstructions in your house, other wireless devices, and your neighbors all under control. There's still something else that can cause problems with your wireless signal, and that could be other wireless adapters that you're using. Yes, wireless G is compatible with wireless B. However, wireless B only operates at 11 megabits per second. In order for wireless B and wireless G devices to communicate on the same access point or wireless router, the wireless router must slow itself down to the lowest common denominator, meaning 11 megabits per second. So if you have any wireless B devices on your network, you're probably slowing down your entire network the second you start using it. Now let's talk about wireless N a little bit. You'll remember wireless N gives you the ability to choose between the 2.4 megahertz band or the 5 megahertz band. So what's the difference? Why do we care about that? Well, why we care about that is in order to get the full 300 megabits of throughput that a wireless N device is capable of, we want to set our router to use not the 20 megahertz wide channels of wireless G, but the 40 megahertz wide channels of wireless N. If you're on the 2.4 megahertz band, this leaves very little room for other devices. Another thing you want to be aware of when using wireless N is the 5 megahertz band has far more non-overlapping channels than the 2.4 megahertz band. This is why dual band routers are becoming so popular. The way to get around preventing your wireless N gear from stomping all over your wireless G gear's signals is to get one of these dual band routers. This will allow you to do your bandwidth-intensive activities such as gaming, video streaming, and copying large files back and forth on one band, and your less bandwidth-intensive activities such as surfing and email on the other. Now, this is not something everybody needs to do. If you only have 1 or 2 people on your network at a time, this is not really a big consideration. But if you have a household that's filled with people who are always online and doing things like gaming and video streaming, this is a consideration. And that concludes our section on wireless interference.